last night is what makes college basketball the best sport on the planet. I mean, we had incredible clips thanks to Mick Cronin, incredible basketball throughout the night. We had 5 upsets or more, depending on how you look at it. Some guys were out, and some of them I get that, but the committee's not going to look at that. But tons of games to get to, and I got to talk about Mick Cronin a little bit because he's delivered. He's on an insanity run right now. He's been putting out incredible content for us. And I'll actually start with Mick. So Mick Cronin recently has had quotes that have essentially said, like, I'm not like the rest of the world, whatever. I see no bright spots whenever we lose. Very, very dark. He also had said last week when the All-Star game was coming, I don't remember who he was referring to, but he was like telling somebody, go get me the biggest, nastiest vodka-drinking European that there is. Somebody that's fought bears in Lithuania. That's who I want. Kelvin Sampson says that Houston doesn't have like the most money in the world, and they're not the most financially set group in the country. Mick Cronin sends him $1 on Venmo. He's been on a run. And then last night was unbelievable. Now, credit to Michigan State. They absolutely roll UCLA 82-59, and it was just dominant. Jeremy Fears 16-10. It was just never close. Never close at any point throughout that entire game. But I love one of the things and hate one of the things that Mick Cronin brought to us last night. I hate the ejection. Kicking a player out for that foul. Look, and I know Michigan State fans, I think they would probably agree with me in this stance. That was not enough to throw your own player out. Like, yes, I think it was Carson Cooper. Getting up in Carson Cooper's face after, yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. Like, you can't do that. But that foul was not hard enough for, like, a flagrant, like, it wasn't Duncan Powell. And maybe that's just, like, revisionist history or something, like, and maybe just because it's so recent, like, we've seen what flagrants and texts and stuff look like. That one was not. But then he gets in his face, whatever. So I get that. And I think part of it is probably Mick Cronin wants Tom Izzo to grow some more respect for him. I don't know. But that I don't agree with. Like, you want tough guys to tell tough guys go out and do something, and whether you say that was fake tough or not, standing up to Carson Cooper, one of the best bigs in the Big Ten, and going chest to chest with that man, that's tough guy stuff. Like, whether you say it's fake or not, like, still standing 10 toes down. Now, it's not like he just, like, swung on him, went dirty, took out his legs. Like, he didn't, like, I don't understand all that. So that was the first part. Then the press conference. And I apologize for the language that Mick Cronin uses in this, but I'm going to play the clip right now.
What was your thought in the student section chanting Booker's name?
I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section.
I just meant the overall the way that you
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
All right, I'll take it.
Did you like
You should take it.
the preparation of the...
You really think I care about the other team's
No, I don't.
student
I don't
section?
think you care about the other.
Are you
team.
raising your voice at me?
No, I'm just.
Yeah, you are.
talking.
Yeah, you are. Come on, dude.
I'm not raising.
Come on. Yes, you are. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody. This is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question. I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section. I coach UCLA. I don't care about Michigan State students. I mean, who cares?
The preparation...
Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. That's an all-time interview. Like, that is an all-time, like, his reactions are perfect. The come on, dude. The thing that kills me about it, that's the perfect executed, like, interview if you want to be known as the bad guy in the sport. And like last year before, Dan Hurley was known as like the bad guy, but then he got so ridiculous it was almost likable. That's where I think Mick Cronin is getting to for me, where it's like, these are so funny now that, like, it's just one after another. But this one is my favorite. Like, the fact that he just keeps going. Like, he had moved on from that question, moved on. Somebody's in the middle of asking him another question. He says, you think I care about Michigan State? Like, it was perfect. And then are you raising your voice at me? Like, the delivery, it is all absolutely incredible. Now, I don't know if I think it might have been Trilly. If not, I apologize. But somebody had tweeted out last night, he's giving post-game answers and reactions and stuff like a man who knows he's getting paid $22 million if he gets fired. That's essentially how it feels. Like, he feels like he is done, like, mentally, just with some of these quotes and stuff. And I don't know if that's the case, but it's been amazing. And that one right there, that kind of sums it up. Like, that interview is an all-time, like that it's amazing. It is amazing. That you raising your voice at me. Come on, dude. You think I care? I coach UCLA. Yes, everybody can. Everybody sees it. We saw you raise your voice at me. It's on camera, dude. Like, it's amazing. Doesn't give a rat's a word. Like, it couldn't be better. That interview is top tier when it comes to college basketball and coaches and all of that. So thank you, Mick Cronin, for absolutely feeding the media everything that we desire, and that one was with all of the crazy and phenomenal games that we received last night. Mick Cronin has kind of like put himself to where he's kind of the face, like right now, like waking up this morning, like my thoughts are like, oh yeah, Michigan had a great win last night. That was a lot of fun, rivalry win for NC State. But Mick Cronin, like that's immediately what I'm like. That's amazing. So Mick Cronin, legendary interview, awesome stuff, and he's been on a insanity run, like I said. Now to the game of the night, and probably, which is crazy, I would say game that I would put fourth coming into the week that I'm most looking forward to, with Arizona at Houston, Michigan Duke, Houston at Iowa State. This one was probably fourth, but it's the strongest fourth that you could imagine going into a week. Like, it felt like it was like 4 Elite Eight games. Like, it felt like it was unbelievable. That just what we received this week. And really, Mackey wanted it, but there wasn't a whole lot to deliver. And Yaxel, this game was already exciting. Everybody was hype about it, looking forward to it and all this stuff. And he put fuel to the fire and poured gas on it. And he said, like, we're going to whoop they blank and blank, and we are going to, like, whoop Purdue, all this different stuff. And it was just, all right, Yaxel, we'll see if you can back it up. Mackey wasn't too fond of it. He was getting booed walking in the arena, getting booed during the starting lineups, all this different stuff. And he backed it up. And his team backed it up. And he talked about that in the postgame where he was like, you know what, my guys, they had my back. It was obviously a different environment for him. I don't think at UAB he was necessarily getting, like, probably hollered at death threats or some crazy stuff. I can't even imagine what Purdue students were saying. But knowing that he's, like, going into that environment, but he's got his squad with him, that says a lot. So Yaxel goes out, and he was really getting it going early. I thought it was him and Mara early were killing it. But Elliot Cadeau is the difference. And now, shout out to Ethan. If you're watching, then shout out to you. This team right here, Ethan had popped up the question last night, and I was actually at the UK game, which I'll talk about briefly in a little bit. But I was at the game, and he had texted. He said, "Are they all time?" Which he's a Michigan fan. Are they all time yet? Like, are they like approaching all time? And I was like, no, they're not yet. And then the more I thought about it, because long drive home from Lexington, and I was like, well, shoot, man, like, are they? Like Yaxel talked all that crap, whatever, and then in the postgame says, we are the greatest team ever assembled. I think Elliot Cadeau is the best point guard in the country. Now, obviously, Elliot Cadeau is not the best point guard in the country. Yaxel's kind of got to say that, but the fact that he can do this, and this doesn't feel like it's just like some one-off, like, you could see him kind of getting closer to this territory where he was like, all right, man, like, Cadeau might be figuring some things out. And that's what's so interesting about this team is, like, the 3 front court guys are obviously the difference. But there are 2, I would say 2, if not 3 players that really, really do it for me. And it's all the backcourt. Like, in the offseason, you would look at this Michigan team and you'd say, like, I don't know if they can get it done. Like, they literally just have a front court. Elliot Cadeau couldn't figure it out. He couldn't shoot it at North Carolina, all this different stuff. So, like, how is he going to figure that? Like, he's not going to be, like, I loved the fit, but I was like, I don't know, man. Like, they're not going to be national championship good. They'll be really, really good, but they're not winning a natty with that group. And I couldn't have been more wrong because of LJ Kaysen. Trey McKinney is a guy that I've just got to talk about. I had him as my Big Ten preseason freshman of the year. That's aging, I wouldn't say like fine wine, because there's been some good freshmen in the league, but I mean, he would start at so many other places, and he goes out and has 13 in Mackey Arena off the bench and does his thing. LJ Kaysen also has 13 off the bench. Those 2 guys, including Elliot Cadeau, are just the difference. That's the 3 right there. Like, we know what that front court is bringing, but if those guards can step up, this is what happens. And this team tonight shot 57% from 3. 13 for 23. That's what was so interesting for so long about Michigan and Arizona is like they don't have to rely on the three. They can just beat you in so many different ways, which makes them even more terrifying. But if they're doing this, there's no world somebody's beating them. It's just not happening. Like they talked to Yaxel after the game and said, "What's your weakness?" And he said, "Whatever Wisconsin did." They were just shooting the lights out, whatever it was. Which that game was just awesome both ways. It felt like nobody can miss. But shooting the lights out, yeah, it can happen in a tournament. But like if that's what you're relying on just to have a chance to beat the team, like Michigan still almost won that game. This team is like approaching all time. And now the all time stuff is interesting because it comes down to like what they do after is where a lot of that, like 2015 Kentucky, 96 Kentucky, those teams, it aged like fine wine. Last year's Duke is going to age like that with 5 dudes from that team in the league already. And then, Isaiah Evans is on that team, so he'll probably end up getting NBA contracts for a while. Gambo's going to get NBA contracts for a while. Like, there's going to be some dudes that were even on that team that stayed another year that are going to go. And that team's going to end up with like 7, maybe 8 NBA players. Like, last year's Duke team, 2015 Kentucky, 96 Kentucky. Those are all-time teams because if you look, the one thing that, shout out to Sports Reference, like if you go back and you look at Sports Reference and you see those teams, you see all those NBA logos by those guys. That's where it comes to like, okay, like this team, like I have a magazine where it shows like the top 50 teams of all time. I think it's Slam. If not, apologies, hand up. That's where this team is like getting though. I don't think they're going to be like a top 10 team of all time, and they're not going to pass. Like, I'm a Kentucky fan. They're not going to pass like 3 Kentucky teams, the 12, 15, 96. But they are approaching extremely exclusive territory. And it feels like at this point it's their national championship to lose. Now, I know Coapete's out, but with them dropping a couple games and like, I don't know if they're playing their way to a 2-seed or whatever, but like, with the way that they've kind of taken a step back, Michigan is clearly the number 1 team in the entire country. I said that they weren't. I said it was probably still Arizona after the Kansas game. I was like, dude, everybody goes in the fog and loses. But they're clearly by far and away the number 1 team in America right now. First number 1 ranking since 2013. 25-1. And if they're shooting like this, there's nobody in the entire planet, well, other than obviously NBA teams, but in the entire planet that's beating them. Like, this team is insane. Now, with the NBA talk, Yaxel, he'd have been drafted if he went this last year, but he ended up coming back. Yaxel's going to be an NBA player. I think Morez Johnson could probably leave this year, be an NBA player. I think Adai Morrow could be an NBA player if he leaves this year. Elliot Cadeau's going to be an NBA player. Trey McKinney's going to be an NBA player. The rest of them I don't really know. But the fact that you've got a 5 that I believe are certainly going to be, and they'll probably leave this year. I don't know where McKinney's like mock draft has him or whatever. But like, that dude can find his way on an NBA roster. Like, he can just fill it up. He's incredible. So yeah, Michigan 91-80 going into Mackey Arena and really dominating. And on the Purdue side of things, like I don't want to speak for Purdue fans, but this kind of feels like it's just copy and paste with the losses. It's like Fletcher didn't do enough. Trey Kaufman-Renn did as much as he could. Braden Smith didn't have the best game in the world and kind of had a good second half, but like, it just feels like it's the same thing over and over and over. Like, Oscar Clough got kind of embarrassed. Like, he got physically dominated at times. TKR 27-12. I'll forever love TKR. I mean, love watching him play. He's incredible. I know the highlight going around of the Dream Shake, that was beautiful. But TKR did enough. Braden Smith did enough. Fletcher Loyer just wasn't enough. Like, it's really, really sad because I love Fletcher Loyer. But man, he's just got to show up big time in these games. Like, he airballed a 3 at a clutch moment. And like, that's the thing about Mackey is like, it's such a good arena. Like 14,876 people in that arena wanting nothing but the Boilermakers to win that ball game. And they're ready to explode and they couldn't get over the hump. It's just brutal. Elmer Meyer, I thought he played some really good minutes. It's just like you can't say like we should have seen this coming or something, but I just can't see Purdue winning a championship. And I really wanted to see it. I had them in my Final Four in the preseason. I think they were the favorite in the preseason. But gosh, man, like there's just not enough there. And I thought with Clough, it was going to be. It almost feels like they'd be better off if they went back to how it was because it kind of sucked and it felt like TKR was out of position. playing the 5, but like at least with that they could just run and go and just have the best offense in America. Right now they have the second best, but it still feels like at times, like especially in this one, they had to work so dang hard to get a bucket. They had to work so hard every single time down to go get a bucket, and then like Michigan would just go down and be like, oh, this is easy. This is easy. Like I'm just gonna go score this, and it was just one of those. It was tough, but big win for Michigan. Obviously, that couldn't be said enough. But 91-80, backing up all that talk, saying you're the greatest team ever assembled. Have a day, man. It's so tough to say like through 26 games, this team's approaching all time. I'm saying it, but it's still tough to say because like what if they dropped the first game in the Big Ten tournament and then they like went to the Elite Eight and lost or something? Like I think that's what makes this year so interesting is there's like I think you could argue 9 or 10 teams that you could legitimately see win a national championship. And then there's really like a tier inside that tier where it's like, okay, well, these are the best teams, but these teams could also just knock off them. And then even outside of those 10, there's some that could like just jump up there and like knock off those big dogs. Like it's an incredible year. It is an incredible year, but Michigan stands above the rest and they just go into Mackey, out-rebound them, and just shoot the lights out and lead for 84% of the game. Ended up leading by 20 at one point. Like they're nasty, man. Michigan is absolutely rolling. I did not expect this team to be like this, but they are here, and it's terrifying. Iowa storms the floor after beating Nebraska. Fred Hoiberg gets the camera put in his face, and he punches it, whatever. 57-52. Slow, methodical hoops, but it works. And the main reason it works is the guy that was one of 2 guys to have double digits tonight. Bennett Starks played 40 minutes, 25 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Now, they don't have the best team in the world all around them. That's 1,000% fact. They're not loaded when it comes to talent. I think people will probably see that and talk to Ben McCollum in the offseason. They're going to get some dudes. But right now it's a Bennett Starks show, and he's kind of wheeling and dealing and getting this team to the tournament. And I think this win right here kind of gets them in tournament form. Like I think this one, I think this does it. It kind of gets them in and off the bubble. But I mean, it's just they do all the little things right. Like they out rebound by 13. They're 17 for 18 from the line. At times they didn't turn it over. They ended up with 12. I didn't even realize there was that many, but they just like they do all the little things right, and it's just like everything's slow, and it feels like sometimes you're watching them play in mud, but like it works, and they have one of the best point guards in America, doing his thing every single night. So I love watching Bennett Starks. Big win for Iowa, and a big time tournament boosting win. Florida beats South Carolina 76-62. This was just like one of those games that I feel like watching, you're just kind of like, all right, well, hey, Florida, you're gonna have to play this like ugly game. Michi Johnson's gonna hit some bullcrap shots and stuff, and you're just gonna have to go win it. And that's what they did. So Alex Condon, I feel like he's kind of rounding into form as of late. He still turns it over too much for my liking, but it feels like, especially early in the year, like he was talked as like first team, all SEC Player of the Year, all this different stuff. It's like him and Philon and Owe. Alex Condon was not that early, but now recently he's kind of figured it out. And this one he had 20, 10, and 4, 6 turnovers. Like I mentioned, he turns it over a little too much. Ruben Chinyelu, his defense is unbelievable, but he also goes out and puts 15 points up with 17 rebounds. Incredible stuff. And yeah, the guards, they were, they weren't like they were in Kentucky, in the Kentucky game, but did enough to be able to win that one, get out of there with a 14-point victory. Arizona State stuns Texas Tech. JT Toppin goes down with, I think it was 6:03 left, down 5. I know the game had kind of flipped at that point to where Arizona State had made a run, took the lead and all that stuff, but that kind of just ended it. It was like, there's just not enough. There's not enough Christian Anderson shots that he could hit to be able to wheel and deal this one. But in his time, JT Toppin had 20 and 8 and 4 blocks. But I think he'll be, like, you can't read anything from Grant McCastle's postgame. I tried to look at that and be like, all right, can we get any clues? No. So I don't really know what the severity of it is. He went to the locker room, and obviously he's a National Player of the Year candidate, and he's got a chance to win it. But he's gonna have to, like, we're gonna have to see just what his injury ends up being like. Like, is he gonna be okay and coming back soon? Because, and I hope so. Like, it's something that nobody in the country wants to see. Even if you don't like Texas Tech, you don't want to see like their best player go down and all that. So that absolutely sucks. But he had played well up until that injury and kind of had them in a position that they could possibly win it. The next thing I hear about that, then I'll try to put something out on the socials or something. But praying for health and being able to bounce back from this one. But Donovan Netwell, again, 4 threes. He's just kind of becoming exactly what they need him to be. But Christian Anderson, 18, 6, and 6. Yeah, he was awesome. Mo Odom, he was incredible for Arizona State. He's literally like, it felt like some people saw him during Feast Week at Maui, kind of took a mental note, threw him in the back of their brain, and then like they maybe had this game turned on because it was a later one, and they turned this on and they were like, oh shoot, this dude's still just getting buckets, and that's exactly what he was doing. So great team win overall for Arizona State, and yeah, just kind of let it throughout, and they were battling through. Like, it didn't take a miracle comeback by any means, and they just, they did their thing. They turned them over a lot and got out of there with a big time win. And I don't know, I mean, they're 14-12. I don't think they're hitting tournament strides, but it kind of sucks for Texas Tech because I think Texas Tech's gonna be that team that, like, you go into the tournament and you're like, all right, who do we want to avoid? If they're on like the 3-4 line, they're going to be terrifying. But I think Texas Tech is probably going to get to the point that they don't want to be like a 5 or a 6 or something because, like, they're very susceptible to dropping a game against somebody that they probably shouldn't. Because Texas Tech, I mean, they're very, very confusing. They don't make a whole lot of sense. Like, they lost to UCF, they lost to Kansas, lost to Arizona State, but they also have huge wins in some games. So I don't know, but got to get JT Toppin healthy. That's priority number one. I mentioned Michigan State beat UCLA. NC State beats North Carolina. Maybe the most confusing, inconsistent team in America, the NC State Wolfpack. Literally a week removed, I think, to the day. No. 8 days, I think. They played at Louisville and lost by, 41? They lost 118-77 at Louisville a week ago, and then they just went, and it's at home, I get that, in a rivalry game, beat North Carolina. So they got off the 2-game skid where they had blown the lead to Miami late, but they come out in this one and win 82-58. I think it said it was like their biggest win against North Carolina since 62. Now, no Vesar and no Wilson for North Carolina, but I think North Carolina fans are kind of throwing an asterisk by this, but I don't think the committee is. I think the committee's going to be like, all right, well, yeah, it's just a tough loss. Oh, well. But yeah, Copeland, he was talking that talk in the pregame, came out, backed it up. 20 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals. He's been incredible recently. Abel came off the bench, 19 and 6. They just kind of did their thing. Like they were physical, and they just. Yeah, I would have thought they honestly out-rebounded them. They ended up losing the rebound battle by 2. But they turned North Carolina over. They controlled the pace. And yeah, it was a great win for NC State. It was a lot of fun to see that one. And I just continue to be – I don't want to be the North Carolina hater, but, like, I'd said this in the preseason. Like, if this team didn't have Caleb Wilson, they're just going to suck. With Henry Vesar, they're not winning this game also. Like, this team just not – it's not built great. They spent a lot of money. They are very, very similar to Kentucky, except they added a Caleb Wilson that takes them over the top. They're very similar to Kentucky in the aspect of, like, they overpaid for so many dudes. Like, they paid so much money to get, like, Kyan Evans to come over. He's not even the best guard. Obviously, I'm not even the best guard outside of Seth Trimble. It's Derek Dixon. It's just, it's bad. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know what to say about that one. NC State, good win. And it was, the only thing I guess you could kind of talk about is the standings aspect of it, because now North Carolina – 4.5 games back from Duke, so they'll get to play them again. But now they're behind NC State, behind Clemson, behind Miami, behind Virginia, behind Duke. So it's going to be Gonna be fun. They do play Louisville soon, so those are kind of that feels like that tier, like just outside of the top of it. So that'll be big time for seeding wise in conference. Rhode Island beat St. Louis. St. Louis, it's their second loss of the year. Their only other loss was the Stanford game. Early, the Billikens had been rolling, one of the best offensive teams in the country. They're a ton of fun to watch. Josh Schertz is going to get a big-time job, which is, I hate that that's the kind of the world that we live in, where it's like, oh, good player at mid-major level, wonder where he'll be next year. Like, that happens. That also happens with coaches. Like, you just kind of know when their time is up in a mid-major, and they'll be getting a big-time job. I saw Providence fans had Josh Schertz Fryer on their stuff. So, yeah, it was just a tough loss. The Hinton kid for Rhode Island was spectacular. I didn't get to watch this one. It was during the Kentucky game that I was at, but I kind of just kept track of it because it was a big time game. I think they were only a slight favorite in this one, but yeah, I mean St. Louis, they'll be fine. First loss in A10 play. I mean they're going to bounce back and keep rolling. It won't shock me if they win a tournament game. That's kind of where I stand with St. Louis. SMU beat Louisville at SMU. Big turnover late from Michael, but Michael's figured it out. Like that's the thing. Offensively, dude's got it. 29 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks for him. 7 turnovers. Like he just cannot handle the ball. Like he just turns it over way too much, and he can't play great defense. That's the two things that. But he's going to the NBA, and he'll be fine, and he will fit right in. But the most underrated backcourt in all of America beat them tonight by tough shot taking, tough shot making, getting to the rim, doing all this different stuff. Boopy Miller and Jerron Pierre Jr. That duo right there, the Miller-Pierre duo, is crazy. Combined for 48 tonight, combined for 11 rebounds, 10 assists. Crazy duo. That doesn't get enough love. And for Andy Enfield and his crew, his big-time win for bubble talk, because this is one that you kind of needed. It's another ranked win, a quad 1 win. So good win. And yeah, I mean, it was just a high-scoring game. Great game. They kind of pulled away late. That was kind of the story. But it was 52-49 at half. It was crazy. But they get out of there with a win. And for Louisville, it's just like, there's not enough dudes that can go out there and just sit down and guard somebody. That's kind of the story. Like, their defense isn't as bad as what I thought it would be. I want to say it's like 28, I think it is in Ken Palm. 28 in Ken Palm. So it's not like horrendous. It's not the worst defense in the world, but they're just not. That's going to be their Achilles heel. It's physicality, and then they just can't sit down and guard somebody when it's crunch time, game pressure. Like that's the problem. Then Ohio State beat Wisconsin. Also another big time bubble win. 86-69. Wisconsin, I mean, they make no sense. They are very, very much like Texas Tech, where they have great wins, bad losses. They don't make a whole lot of sense. But Devin Royal, 25. Bruce Thornton, 27, 9, and 8. Like, he's continued to be just one of the best players in America. That doesn't get enough talk because he plays for a 17-9 Buckeyes team. But great win. Great win for Ohio State. And Wisconsin, I mean, they'll be fine. They'll be perfectly fine. They have a big one Saturday. Yep, Iowa. So they'll have that one, and then, I mean, they'll round off some wins as the season ends there. But Ohio State, though, I don't know where they are. I haven't really checked the bracketology recently or whether they're considered in or out. But they play at Michigan State, at Iowa, versus Purdue, at Penn State, and versus Indiana. If they could win like 3, I feel like they've probably got a good chance of getting in. Like, I feel like that's kind of going to get them over the over the hump there and get them in. Lastly, I'll talk about Kentucky for a minute. Also, Miami, Ohio won, or I think they want Miami University. I think I saw that on Twitter. They want to be called Miami University or Miami Redhawks. Credit to them, they continue to win, 26-0, now 13-0 in MAC play. Another big time win. But for Kentucky, drops the game to Georgia. I think there's been so many really bad stats come from this one. I think it's the first time since like the 20s or something that Georgia has won 3 of the last 4 against Kentucky. There's like the stats of like all the different times that there's been like 3 SEC home game losses in a year or in a 2-year span. I don't remember what the stat is, but they all line up with like the end of Tubby, the end of Cal, Billy Gillespie, Eddie Sutton. It's not great for Mark Pope right now. Like I understand last year is probably the best a conference has ever been. I get that. This year it's far from that. And you had all the money in the world to be able to build whatever kind of roster you wanted, and you built this. And I know there's injuries and stuff, but you have plenty to work with because of how much money you had, and they're just not getting it done. And this is a game that it was literally like copy and paste from what the Florida game was to me. Like it literally, 2AT was the same thing. It's a team that can't shoot, and they just lit it up because, I mean, they did hit some really tough ones. Melinder, shout out Smurf. Hate to give him a shout out, but dude, he hit some tough ones, 4 for 5 from 3. Blue Kane hit some tough ones. But, like, this is a team that shoots, they're like 300-something or late 200. I don't remember where they are nationally, but they're really, really bad at shooting. And they shot 45% from 3. Now, they had some open ones. That's on Kentucky. But, gosh, dude, it's just, all the bigs were terrible tonight for Kentucky. In that game last night. I'll just be honest. They were not good. If you look at box score plus minus, if you look at the numbers or whatever it is, none of them played well. Yelovich, Marino, Garrison, they were all pretty bad. Jasper Johnson, I hate it. The more the season goes on, I'm like, he's gone. He's going to get paid a lot of money by probably Alabama. And he's just like, he can't stay in front of anybody. And it's not like he's in this weird role because he was supposed to kind of be off ball, but now he's having to have it in his hands more, and it's terrible. But credit to Otega, 28 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. It was just not his time. Late, dribbled off his foot a couple times. Colin Chandler, he was huge. I think he was 6 of 7 before a few late ones, which he shockingly missed because it feels like he never misses now. He was 6 for 10 from 3. Yeah, it was just, outside of those two, it was just a game that Georgia kind of controlled. Kentucky had an early lead. Blew that, went down 5 at half, and never really had a chance outside of that. So, credit to Mike White. He's done a good job. Mark Pope now 0-2 against Georgia. And Mike White, he built a pretty good roster over there, I'll be honest. Jeremiah Wilkinson, it was his first game back from injury. He had 19 points. Really, really good player. Santo did his thing, 14-8, dominated. Catchings does. They all just have their role. They get out and they run. They're physical. They get downhill, they get to the rim, they do a whole lot of good things. Unfortunately, I'll say that. But good for them. It's a good win bubble-wise also. I've said bubble 3,000 times tonight. But, great win for Georgia on the road, and winning in Rupp is crazy. First time winning in Rupp since 2009. So, dark times for Kentucky. It is weird because Kentucky, it's literally like, you can be at the highest of highs, like after you beat Tennessee, I think it was, where you'd won 8 of 9. And then it's literally like, oh, well, we competed with Florida. It kind of sucked. There's no moral victories, whatever it is. And then you lose to Georgia, and it's like, all right, well, this place sucks. Fire Mark Pope and all this different stuff. I'm not in that boat yet, but next year, every loss adds a whole lot more pressure to next year. That's kind of how I look at it. But that'll do it for this one. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a great rest of the week. Enjoy these games. Incredible week of hoops ahead of us. BYU at Arizona tonight, Arkansas at Alabama tonight, the 2 Rings Baldy, Creighton, UConn Bowl tonight. A lot of good games, a lot of fun. Peace.